this chapter of One Piece, Big Mom, otherwise known as Charlotte Linlin, completely destroys the island of Elbath, and she is saved by Mother Caramel, who might not be as loving and noble as she made herself out to be. I think it goes without saying, spoiler warning if you haven't seen this chapter of One Piece, as we finally get to delve a little bit more into the backstory of Big Mom and Mother Caramel. And one of the biggest surprises about this chapter is that we learn that Mother Caramel is not exactly that nice. In fact, she's been putting on a facade this entire time. The only reason that she has an orphanage is so that she can be a child slave trader. That's right. She's actually been selling these children to the Marines, in particular to the secretive group known as CP0, where they've been acting as spies, and she has big plans to sell off Charlotte Linlin to CP0 personally. So, really this entire time she's just been playing everyone and putting on a big fake smile. Not only that, but we get to learn that she was the original owner of the Sora Sora no Mi, which is the devil fruit powers which are currently used by Big Mom. How Big Mom actually attains these devil fruit powers is still something of a mystery, and this week's chapter tends to keep it kind of shrouded. But the first half of the chapter was all dedicated to watching Linlin just completely destroy this giant village, and make fools out of some of their greatest warriors, like Yorlei. In fact, she straight up kills him in this chapter. With a combination of her unbridled hunger rage and Herculean strength, she actually grabs Yorlei by the beard, swings him around, and slams him down on the ground, which completely kills him in one massive shot. All of the other giants get super pissed off as you could possibly imagine, and they want her gone. In fact, they want her dead. But Mother Caramel decides to step in the way and decides to use her Sora Sora no Mi to take charge of this fire, transforming it into a tiny little happy sun. Very similar to what Big Mom actually does in the present storyline. And she convinces the giants to allow her and the children to leave because she herself is going to look after Linlin. They're tired of all of her crap, so they kick her out immediately. They end up going to this one other giant island where, through the help of some other friendly giants, they rebuild the Lamb House, where things seemingly go back to normal, and it seems like things are going to be very hunky-dory from this point on. However, this of course is when we start to learn a little bit more about Mother Caramel's true nature. Her underworld name is the Mountain Witch. She's apparently been doing this for some time, selling these children to the Marines to act as spies for CP0, and she has big plans for Linlin. Considering how incredibly powerful she is, she has a feeling that she's going to be one hell of an asset to CP0, although she's finally reached that age where it's finally time for her to retire, and Linlin is basically going to be her big last hurrah. So they decide to throw her a birthday party. She gets to have this massive croquembouche cake, and as she's celebrating with all of her friends, gobbling it all down, suddenly all of the children disappear, as well as Mother Caramel. We immediately cut back to the present storyline, where Big Mom is completely freaking out and screaming for Mother Caramel to return. So what's the rundown on this week's chapter of One Piece? Mother Caramel is not exactly a nice lady. Honestly, I didn't see this coming. I thought that there was going to be a nicer side to Charlotte Linlin's backstory, and apparently Mother Caramel is just as rotten as some of the other characters that we've seen in the series, and that's a real shame. It is really good, though, that they did a great job of making her seem like she had something of a noble personality, the fact that she was able to help out all of the giants and create this commune for all of these children. But of course, there's a much darker element behind this. She's basically the child catcher from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. What I'm most interested in learning is what happened when all of the children and Mother Caramel disappeared. Why did they suddenly just disappear out of nowhere while Big Mom was eating all of these delicious treats? Was she just distracted this entire time, just enamored over all of these delicious things? Did she end up devouring them all in the process along with the power of Mother Caramel's devil fruit? It's a complete mystery, and there's always that big possibility that we're going to learn a little bit more in the future, although the fact that we are going back to the present leads me to believe that we're not going to get that revelation quite yet. We probably won't even get it until we get to the real big final battle of this arc, when Big Mom starts to take things a little more seriously. What I will say is, I loved the imagery of this chapter, especially the beginning half, where you got to see Big Mom just completely destroying the giant village and fighting against them, and just the pure and raw destruction of everything. The fire set against the black and white color scheme of the manga just really popped in this week's chapter. Typically in the series, when someone has a devil fruit power that belongs to another character, it's because that previous character had died and their devil fruit power had been reborn in a brand new devil fruit, which leads me to believe that's probably what is going to happen, but there could be another means of her actually attaining these powers, and that could bring a nice twist to this arc, and of course to shake things up just a little bit more. Mother Caramel actually working along with the Marines and CP0 in particular was probably the most shocking part of this chapter, and just seeing that CP0 has actually been around for this long is also pretty shocking in and of itself. I have a feeling they've probably gone through different characters in different ranks, but to actually see them there, still wearing their weird, creepy masks and everything, was pretty insane. And Mother Caramel herself just really painted herself as a very evil villain in this chapter, to the point where when you actually decide to read these chapters again, or even watch it in the anime version, you're going to see something completely different than you saw before, and you're always going to be wanting to look for different clues to see the real personality of Mother Caramel. They did a really great job of actually covering that up in some of the previous chapters and in all of her backstory. And her use of the Sora Sora no Mi seems to be a little different than Big Mom's, where Big Mom is able to use it on a much grander scale, although, of course, Mother Caramel is trying to hide this as, like, her weird holy ability. She doesn't want anybody to know that it actually has anything to do with devil fruit powers. Like when she creates that sun, she chalks it up to the power of the sun god. This is all a part of her plan to sort of make everybody seem a little bit foolish, and of course not to reveal her true personality and her abilities overall. But the fact that she has dealings in selling children to the Marines is pretty fucked up, and again also paints the Marines in a very, very messed up light. Again though, I find myself most interested in learning how Big Mom is actually going to get away from this island, how she's going to gain the power of the Sora Sora no Mi, and of course how she eventually did start her crew. I'd like to see the origins of that as well. And we could very well get back to that in the very next chapter, although I do have a feeling we probably are going to get back to the present storyline, because I think Big Mom is just going to completely start wrecking everyone at this point. The plan has been going way too well, and I have a feeling that things are about to go south, and there's probably going to be another twist for the arc. There's way too many characters in this arc right now to just sort of skim over things and defeat Big Mom like that. I really don't even think we've hit the tip of the iceberg on this one, and I'm very excited to see where it is all going to be heading, and whether they decide to, you know, interplay some of the backstory of Big Mom during these parts, or if they just decide to give it its very own little mini arc like they did for this one. I want to see it all. That's the thing I'm most interested about this arc, is just learning about her backstory, how she started her crew, and where it's going to be leading to up to this point in the story. It's a really exciting time to be a fan of the series. This arc, honestly, in my opinion, just keeps getting better and better, and that's a really hard thing to do when they keep introducing so many new characters. The thing is, though, they all have really interesting motivations and backstories, and most importantly, I want to hear from you guys, but before we get to that, I'm going to give this week's chapter a solid 5 out of 5. I really enjoyed it. I'm loving the backstory of Big Mom. I love the twist that Mother Caramel is actually an evil child slave trader. But I want to hear from you guys. Why did all of those children at the Lamb's house, including Mother Caramel, suddenly disappear? Is this all a part of her plan to separate them from Charlotte Linlin? Did Charlotte Linlin just devour all of them whole and she didn't even realize it? What really happened in this arc, and what do you hope to see from the rest of the Whole Cake Island arc of One Piece? Thank you guys for watching this review. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for all things One Piece anime and manga related. Please leave me a comment telling me what you thought about this week's chapter, if you have any theories as to what happened at the end of Big Mom's backstory and what you hope to see from the ensuing battle with Big Mom herself. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, please give it a thumbs down. I'll see you guys next time. And as always, stay dandy, baby.